All right. All right, welcome back to the Spurs and Spreads podcast, where hunting meets sports. We got a lot to talk about today. We got these two jackasses, Chaz Brown and Patrick Castman, over here again. We got a lot to talk about today. Chaz has we got two turkey kills to talk about. He has hit his Alabama limit. LSU beats the number one team in the series, number one team in the nation last weekend. I'm sure State and them did something. Got a little transfer portal talk today.
Was that tornado?
Are you in a?
They say tornadoes.
Are you in a hallway,
trains.
Chaz? Chaz, is there a tornado warning at your office?
I heard a train.
That's my train that's about 20 yards outside of
SPURZ
SPREADZ headquarters here.
Oh, I got you. Oh. What's up, fellas? What y'all? I know, like I said, we got a lot to brush up on, but no doubt. I mean, let's get started on the turkey kills. I mean, Chaz, my boy's on a roll. He just is what it is. Maybe it's the red dot. I don't know. Maybe he always. I don't know what it is.
I had that as a topic. Red dot regret.
Red dot.
Adam's regretting getting Chaz on that red dot because Chaz got that red dot.
Yeah. He called me. He said,
on this.
He called me. He said, "Are you happy for me, or are you just pissed off?" Because I mean, I just woke up. He's like, "You hadn't responded." I was like, "I'm taking time to process it." I was genuinely happy for him that he's on a roll.
I mean, we were looking for some updated kills on our social media, and so Adam in Nebraska 2 years ago.
I can't. He wouldn't let me post it.
Up there. We got two Easterns.
He wouldn't let me post it.
Bama Limit. I mean, you know how hard that is.
He wouldn't let me post it for some reason. I asked him. I was like, he said, "Don't post that yet." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, I was letting the knee wear off.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just glad somebody else is killing turkeys. It's about time.
A little big there.
But I was.
I'm just kidding.
I was thinking about what changed because after we talked the other day, Adam, after I killed my fourth one.
Fourth Bama one, right?
Fourth Alabama one.
Fourth Bama one. Yeah, five. I killed five. Fourth Bama one. But I was thinking, he's like, "What are you doing different?" I was like, I don't know that I'm doing a whole lot different, but I thought about this last night as far as the weather and everything. You know, it was cold. It was a cold season. There was 38 and 39 degree mornings up until about 3 weeks ago. It seemed like, or maybe 3 weeks. And I was like, ever since it's warmed up, these things have acted right. When I've struck them up, they have acted right. They've done what they're supposed to do, consistently for me. Whether that be later in the morning, not necessarily right off the roost, but they've acted right. As soon as it started getting in the 80s during the day, and you're breaking day and it's 65 instead of 39, or in the 50s or something. It's been on over here. Now I know not everybody's having that kind of
I mean, I'm not
process. But
what am I 4 hours to the west of you? I mean, and we're hunting the same day, same weather, beautiful clear skies, and nothing.
Sunday was a good example of nothing off the roost. I mean, crickets. I was just chalking it up to, I think they may be done. I'm not one of these big people, but I think turkey hunting, I think a lot of people, they're done. They go out there. Well, were they done earlier in the season when you went 3 days without hearing the gobble?
Yeah.
They weren't done. If you see strip marks on the road, they're not done.
Get it going. But, I mean, I think what it came down to for me this year is that knowing the property for one that I'm hunting.
And this is your second year on that property. Yeah.
What are they going to do? Where do I need to be calling from? All those things just kind of played in my favor. And the intel, from people, just all those things just kind of added up and just.
Well, just like we talk about all the time. I mean, like, you're always learning. What did you learn today? You've been on that property. You've learned a lot. You've learned a lot about that property, not just the turkey. You've learned a lot about that property.
And here's the thing with running the red dot is last year, I ain't ashamed to say this. I missed the Alabama limit in misses.
Yeah.
In misses, like straight
Mm-hmm.
4 different birds, different birds, misses. And
that was prior to the red dot.
I injured one, but anyway, long story short, it was more or less, as soon as I saw the red head, I was, what I'm saying? Just not letting it develop. Hey, I'm going to go and take that shot instead of being patient. And being patient, the last 2, it's 35 or 40 yards, Now, where did I see them first? Well, I saw them at 65,
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying basically you're not taking the wild. I mean, you do when you have to, but you're not taking the wild shots. You're getting them 40 within in the 40s range of you.
The other day that son came up that Hardwood Valley and he's at 15. So there wasn't but the 2 before it was a situation where I could have, as soon as I saw him telescoping, I could have, and I may have killed it, but I let them come on across that. The woods are full right now. I mean, as full as you can get. I mean, you can't hear one like you could 3 weeks ago right now. Mm-hmm. So usually when you get in their bubble, I don't know if they can hear you or not, but I know getting in their bubble has been a big thing for me. Just knowing where they probably are and getting a response, and then scratching the leg, her a little bit.
Let's get to the actual hunt. Like the second, I want to hear the most recent. I know you killed 2 since we've had the last podcast. I think you killed one the very next day we did the podcast last. And, and then you've had this one. This one sounded pretty cool. We got, like you say, you got 15 yards from you. He was hammering. Wasn't he right behind you or something like that? How did it start anyway? So you got there on the roost. You went to that 200 and something acres that you got.
Yeah.
And, they hadn't really been messed with a lot, but they're always on the neighbors, right?
Yeah.
It's always.
Yeah. And they don't even roost near us, so it's not really a great place to break day, even though when I go turkey hunting, I just go on a break day. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's like slow. Yeah. But I'll usually end up on the opposite side of the road. And that's where I had that experience this year where I had 3 birds at 10 yards, 3 gobblers at 10 yards, and did the right thing. But it was a similar situation. And, but they came on across, and it turned into a hunt where I could have did the wrong thing and laid them down real quick, where I let them come across and then I had to spin. You know what I'm saying? I had to turn all the way around because there's a big oak tree, and he gobbled right on the other side of that oak tree. It is the closest gobble I've ever had to me. I mean, it was freaking 5 feet on the other side of the oak tree I was on. It just held my whole silhouette, so he didn't see me. But when he came on me, he could see me then.
Yeah.
So I did an old neck shot right in the back, going the other way.
Yeah, I've slung a few of those.
Yeah.
So that place is a lot like
what you gotta do.
That place. It sounds like you said they don't really roost there, so it sounds a lot like that place we got dropped off when we went on our trip to Texas prior to firing the guy.
Yeah.
Go back there and play around.
I knew there was something coming. I didn't know the hook on that one, y'all.
And then the next day, 24 hours later, I don't know why y'all go back there and hunt. They don't roost back there. Well, because you were asleep. We didn't have any other choices at that point. But anyway.
Well, all right. So that was both of these hunts were done like we talked about before the coffee gets cold. What about the other one? How did that go?
The next one was on the club that I'm in, and it had a little intel on it, because this year, I mean, we're probably over 30 birds deep on 14,000 acres, as far as kills. So, I mean, you try and relay, take care of your buddies and, the ones that you met and the ones that are relaying info, hey, where's the bird left at? It's kind of having that talk. But anyways, I picked up some intel that there was one in this certain zone that had nobody messed with this year because we don't have, there's a 180 acre block in there somewhere that we lost, and word had got out that in that block there had been 2 or 3 birds died on a Saturday morning, you know. So the neighbors got access to that place, and there was 3 or 4 hunters, and they came out with 3 gobblers. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody hunted that zone all year. You know what I'm saying? So one of those situations where chances are there may not be a gobbler in there, but I rolled the dice and went back there and got on one. I mean, it was way off, but I just got on Onyx and Hunt Stand, just kind of dialed into where I thought they were going. And then it was tough getting because I didn't hear them again, and I had cut all the way through a bottom and called, yelped, scratched in the leaves, just kind of dry set up for about 5 or 10 minutes, just trying to see what was around me. Well, I had been hooting a good bit, and one of those hoot owls started popping off that had kind of followed me. You know, I'd started on the high point hooting,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I went out here and hoot, and then all of a sudden you got the hoot owls flying across the hardwood bottom, and 2 of them had gotten together and were just you know, and the other one was pow, there he went. You know, he was 120 yards from me or something like that. You know,
there he is.
And so it was one of those deals where those hoot owls pissed each other off and got that turkey gobbling. I just slipped right in as tight as I could to where he was, scratched in the leaves and clucked a little bit and got him answering me. And then about 5 minutes later, he was 40 yards from me. You know, so I mean, it wasn't anything special. It was just kind of being at the right place and time and kind of knowing about where they were.
Yeah.
So,
man, that's awesome.
That was a good one, man. Especially,
and this is
just like you. I was thinking about this. I was like, a lot of hunters just live for off the roost. If you're not tight with them off the roost, you're done. Where all 4 of my kills, I ain't been on them the ones that I've been on the roost. They flew down. I let them know that I was there, did a little scratching, and then you have a damn fly down cackle from a hen, and then you hear him 400 yards away.
Yeah.
You know, that's been my 2 that I was tight enough to kill on the roost. And I ended up getting back on one, getting him within 15 yards of me, but I couldn't. I was stretched out to my right, so I mean, I couldn't move. It was thick, and he's gone. So,
yeah.
I
think it's saying something that you've been able to do the Alabama limit with the limited amount of time that we have. You know, I mean, it's not like we literally get to go every day. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Lord's blessed us with a lot of times I'm able to do that. But, man, like me this year, I hadn't been able to go like I want to go, you know, not even near. And I know you hadn't either. And I know Patrick hadn't either. And it's just, you know, we have the average guy, you know, we got responsibilities like everybody else that trumps it, you know, and it sucks. But, I mean, because there's a limited number, but we go every darn chance we can. And, you know, you pick the weather's right and do that. And, you know, if it don't go your way, it don't go your way. But, my God, it went your way the past few days. I mean, it ain't luck. It's something that you've been working on. I mean, I don't want people to think that it is, because I know this is something that you've been trying to do. I mean, you really should have done it last year. You just couple mishaps, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not anything really different you're doing. I think it's the red dot. But you know, I mean, you shot it just as many.
It may be.
And patience letting them come in. And patience.
That shot the other day, I probably would have missed without the red dot. Because it was moving. You know, I had to swing on him, and it was moving. You know how that TSS is. I was probably shooting a golf ball, you know, at that distance. So having that red dot was crucial to be able to
target
get it and kick off, you know, bust off on it, because you're going to with open sights, TSS, 10, 15 yards swinging. That ain't good.
And that's why, I mean, I never like swinging on a turkey, but sometimes you just have to. Last one I had to. That target acquisition that you have on the red dot. I mean, don't get me wrong. If the birds, I have never hunted with a scope. I know Patrick likes the scope, and I know his mentors, they love the scope, and I guess I don't have the experience with it. And they say, you know, through the brush it's easier, but I mean, maybe in a perfect scenario when they're coming in, that probably is the ticket. But I would think it'd be harder to get on them in a situation like that with a scope. I mean,
for sure.
Is it? I mean,
why,
you know, because
I missed in Missouri. I mean,
that's what. Yeah. That's what I was. I
That's
wasn't
a
going to say
plain
it,
myth.
but yeah. I mean, if you're able to get on them quick,
I don't care what they say. If you had a scope in that situation of swinging on that, you're not getting on it.
no.
You know what I'm saying? It's just there's a delay effect there with a scope. A
Yeah,
scope's
it's like
probably. Now here's the thing about a scope. By golly, you can verify them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're gonna throw up and you're gonna be able to say, "Hey, is that a Jake or a gob or a hen or
Yeah.
But just like that. But as far as swinging, I don't think you get any better than that red dot. Because
I'm with
there's
you.
no zoom on it.
Yeah, it'd be nice, but I mean that's why we have our binoculars if we can move. But most of the time you can't. So I mean you don't even get to use. The only time I use binoculars when I spot them in the field or I see them far off, and then that's when I get to identify them. But
You got to have them binoculars in in Kansas. Me and Adam, we're in Kansas looking over them rolling hills last year, and we both had binoculars. Like, is that a stump down there? And it didn't move. That son of a gun didn't move for 15 minutes. Didn't move a muscle. We're sitting there. And finally it started moving. We're like, holy crap, that's been a gobbler this whole time.
We were like,
this whole time.
Is that a decoy? I mean, it's just, what is that? And we kept moving around and we kept checking. But man, that turkey was telescoping, son. I mean, he was on alert. So we just sat there. I mean, we're like, what, 600 yards away? We're not even close to this
you can
thing.
barely tell with binoculars. I mean, we couldn't tell until he moved. We're like, oh, okay, that's not a stump.
Yeah, nope, not a strutter bush. That's not a strutter bush. That's one thing we say we're out there looking in them fields and you see a bush, and everything looks like a strutting turkey. I think that was Chaz's go-to there. Is like, it's just a strutter bush. It's just a strutter bush. Old strutter bush.
I never forget them. I'll go back to the truck if I forget them because there's some point, just like this year, I looked up one of those hay fields, had my binoculars on and just caught them right before and by the blind eye at 400 yards, they're just hens. It's three of them, they all looked about the same size, it's just hens. And I reached out and said, that's three bonebeards. You know what I'm saying? Like 400 or 500 yards, all of them the same size, you'd think they're hens.
That's right.
Or that happens and you don't have your binoculars and you think they're gobblers and you wind up spending an hour getting up there to them and find out they're three hens. And you're like, boy, if I had my binoculars, I wouldn't have crawled all the way up there,
Yeah.
Or if he's gobbling like crazy and you're like, oh, okay. And then he gets there and it's a super Jake and you didn't have your binoculars and it took you. It happens. But what about, speaking of Kansas and all that, we got our little turkey tour. We got it coming up in a couple weeks. I'm jacked up about getting back to Nebraska. We all drew tags to Kansas. Scott did not. Dad did. I think we've kind of got a lot of it. Scott, I've been spending most of my time because I'm going to be in a different zone, which is going to make things really not as fun because I'm sure I'm going to spend the night somewhere else one night if it's, if it doesn't lock down day one. Which, it's a possibility when you're hunting new ground and late in the season. Who knows what you're going to get. But, I'm excited about that. I'm ready to get back on it and get back after it in Kansas and then going back to Nebraska. I don't know. What about y'all?
One last hoorah.
Yeah, we got Punta Cana coming up in between there, too. Let's not forget about that. Punta Cana, we got the wives and all the fun stuff going down. And, gonna have a good time. We're gonna do a little podcast from Punta Cana. That should be fun. Got some turkey hunters, got some other things on there. But then as soon as we get back, we're gonna hit the road.
Speaking of Punta Cana and all the turkey hunters we got going with us, Punta Cana, I'm just like, what? We need to double check that everybody takes their one straggler shell that they've got in their dock kit or in a bag from going and make sure, because this guy got 12 years the other day mandatory.
I saw it.
From a hunting leftover in a bag from a hunting trip in Texas.
On the way back, he got out of the States with it. Of course, the States, I've had a friend of mine that got caught up at the airport with, everybody's got a protection in their car. He just happened to put it in the bag and checked the bag and got caught. Just paid a fine in the States, But there, they just swapped it, and it hadn't been like that, but they just swapped it to 12 years mandatory. Can you imagine that?
No.
Just for shells, no firearms.
Off a shell?
just a
Shit.
straggling shell.
And people
I'm
can't fathom-
I'm paranoid to death. Just the other day, I thought I'd checked everything, and I was taking my backpack, and I was headed to where were we going? Hawaii. We're going, and I was in New Orleans airport at 3:30 in the morning, and I just one last check. I got a 3.5 TSS in my darn thing from when I was in Florida. I guess I brought my backpack. I don't know why, and I mean, that's like a stick of dynamite. You bring it on the plane. I mean, I was like, what
Yeah.
am I? Oh my God. I threw it in the back of of our car. And I was like, what in the world? And then I went through and checked everything, but it scares. I mean, obviously in the States wouldn't be as big of a deal, but yeah, we're going out the country. Better check it out. Better make sure you got me paranoid.
If my wife don't tighten up, I'm going to drop about a dozen 22 rounds in her little back.
Yeah.
We'll see you in 12 years.
See ya. See ya, hon.
Oh, I'm kidding. That's
I'll
terrible.
wait.
And the thing is that you could relate to it when you read that article. It's like a 40th birthday celebration. They're on their way back.
Oh, God. The highs and the lows of that trip.
My wife's 40th birthday.
Hopefully they'll figure out something.
Oh, yeah. Well, how'd your baseball teams pan out? LSU did. They're trending upward. They didn't have a great game in the third game, but I mean they've beat Missouri, which is I know, and Auburn, which is I know. Whatever. Those are two bottom teams in the league, but we're fighting back for contention to at least make it to the postseason. And I think if I was y'all, I'd be the same. You don't want LSU back in the postseason because you never know what they're going to do. They still have the talent. And then they beat the number one team in the country this weekend.
Yeah, I watched that whole game
That was good.
Saturday. And
I mean, they've got some young talent that's good.
It was trying to even the series because y'all have been getting your ass kicked so much. But
right, correct.
But realize that, golly, they're after Tommy Tanks hit that little single, they're like, well, they're fixing to lock this game up and they're going to go for the sweep. I was like, dang.
I thought they were too.
They're the number one team in the country, but Mississippi State, we're hot as a firecracker right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Who'd y'all play this weekend? I was kind of looking.
We won the first two. So
Bama had 20 players sick. Bama had 20 players sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we did what we were expected to do. Now we got Arkansas this weekend, so if we can take just one from Arkansas at Arkansas, we may be able to get a series, but we can just get one there and then clean up Missouri to end it. I think we host. I think.
I was looking up the chances, it's a far chance. We're just trying to make the postseason, much less host a regional. But, LSU gets hot. And they come in. I mean, Thatcher Hurd, I don't know what's happened to him, man. He came from winning us a national championship to just flop. I mean, it is just not going well for him this year. And I know what he can do. He throws he's got some junk, but I mean, it's just not working out this year for him. I think we keep relying on him a little too soon. But the point I'm making is that, they get hot. They got Ole Miss this weekend, I think, which they have not been hot. Then you roll into if you make it, you roll into the SEC tournament, put on a good show, and it's possible we host a regional, and I'll be there. We're gonna go ahead and block out the condo dates for that.
Speaking of LSU, I don't ever give them much credit, but have you ever seen a more dominant pitcher than Paul Skeens? Have you seen his stats in AAA? Like why is he not there? Why is he not at the
called him up? I'd be like, we're wasting
his stats are dumb, man.
Yeah,
there's probably some finesse in that too. You know what I'm saying? You kind of build them up. They probably want to see him face just a little bit of adversity, so that
see how he bounces back. But
he
never had it.
Gave up one run.
Far. He ain't had them.
He had no adversity. He gave up one run, I believe, in AAA this year.
What needs to happen is the only adversity he's going to face is if his girlfriend breaks up with him.
That's the only adversity he's got. Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. Transfer portal, football, transition. LSU
swung and missed
twice. We need D linemen, right? Yeah. So you got this Michigan State guy And then don't get me wrong. I mean, but if you really look at these guys, Michigan State guy and the guy who went to Oklahoma, I can't remember where he's from, but that was the two targets, right? These two big targets, and uh, apparently they're the Oklahoma thing. I think Oklahoma was home for that fella, and but at the same time, we had him from what the rumors are, and then they came and offered like 1.5, and
It don't matter where home is these days.
yeah, it don't matter. They came and offered
How big
1.5,
that
and I
check.
think LSU decided, is he worth 1.5 to take a chance on when we have these two 5-star freshmen? But the depth is terrible, and we got the ULM guy who's still out there. Who, what is it? Football Pro Focus ranks him the number one transfer portal defensive lineman.
Thing that gets me though is that all that money. I mean, LSU defensive wise should be able to get a discount on those guys. You see what I'm
Correct.
saying?
Because
Like,
of their history
as
with
big
the
of a
NFL.
name, as many people as they put out in the league, kind of like the Saban thing. But
I
they've
think
won
these
10
guys.
ball games the last 2 years with a new coach. I mean, it's like they're that close, but man, you just aren't going to do it if you can't stop them in the third and fourth quarter.
If we don't
Yeah.
figure this defensive
You won't
tackle
never
thing
score
out,
as many points as you
I
did
think
last
they're
year with
I think they're in trouble.
with the
Jaden
quarterback.
carried that team. Yeah,
I'm
Jaden.
telling you, if now look, we have upgraded the defensive back position, strong, very strong. Upgrade. We got a new defensive, but the coach DB back, the DBU coach has been back. Your boy from Florida, that he went to Florida for a year. He's back. Got a new defense coordinator. There's a lot of good things happening. However, there's a lot of concerns at the defensive tackle position. Now, the freshman may end up doing his thing. It may, but we got to have more depth. They can't play every play. These big guys, it ain't gonna happen.
You're an injury away from.
Yeah, and we're playing big teams this year. We're playing more big games this year. And look, I think it.
We all are with the new.
Yeah,
Texas and
I
Oklahoma.
think it can be a very similar year as last year. High scoring offense, big time receivers, big time quarterback, big time offensive
Y'all
line.
losing a lot.
Big
Didn't y'all
time
lose
running back.
Akers and y'all lost
Dude,
two.
Them two
Two
receivers,
stud
you got-
receivers and Jaden.
them
It's
two
gonna be hard. You can't
receivers, you
replace
just
that.
don't
We-
replace. I'm just telling you.
No.
We've got some big talent on. Now, I will say, Lacey, if you watch the LSU football team, the wide receiver, number 2, Lacey, is, if you watched Malik and now Brian, I think Brian Thomas Jr. was the best one on the team. I know Malik was like a baller. I mean, don't get me wrong, but like all around wide receiver, Jr. was unbelievable. He only had like 200 yards less than Malik. Just note that, and he wasn't.
Did they go first round? Did both of them go?
Yeah,
first
yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Malik went top 5, I think.
but this kid Lacey is probably an electric, just as electric, or if not more. The only problem with Lacey, he drops the ball in clutch situations, buddy. I mean, he might not this year, but he has done it time and time again the past couple years. Like, he gets in and he'll make these plays that you're like, God, he looks. I mean, it's different when he gets the ball. It's different. I mean, it just is. He does things that the other two guys don't. They didn't do. Even Malik. However, he drops it. I mean, we lost that Texas A&M. He dropped that Texas A&M game 2 years ago. He dropped one right when it mattered. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it happens. But then it happened again, I think, last year. I can't remember what team it was. And I was just like, gosh, man. But anyway, I think he's going to be great. I'm sure he's working on all that. But we've got some receivers there. That running back, Jackson, is a baller. Look out for him. You notice that John Emery, who I thought surely to God he's graduated, but now he's been in the NCAA for like 7 years, I guess, with all the medical red shirt and then COVID red shirt and then whatever. Now he's transferred somewhere. I don't even know where he went. He was a 5-star back, but he transferred out because his talent behind him is strong. And the quarterback, Nussmeier's going to be good, man. But if they don't get something figured out in this defensive tackle position, I mean, right now they got an O lineman playing D tackle for spring
I
training.
watched y'all spring game. I don't care what happens. You're not going to score as many points as last year. So you got to have
45, 35 games.
It's
You
gonna
got to
be a
have a
different
better
offense.
defense. Because
Yeah.
y'all were Daniels away from being 7-5. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
No,
I-
yeah.
Daniel's away from being 7-5, so
I think y'all are take a dip this year. Not just talking LSU trash. I think
Yeah,
LSU
no, I know.
is.
I think
you're gonna have to win differently,
I
and
think
you're gonna have to
everyone's
win with
going to be.
defense. And then everybody hangs their hat on. Well, it's LSU. They're gonna go sign who they want to on the
I
defense.
think the big.
That didn't happen. You
I
know.
think the big positive is everyone's going to be surprised when Nussmeier.
Now Nussmeier's good.
Nussmeier's going to surprise a lot of
He's
people.
really
I've
good.
never heard his name. They're going to know his name.
Yeah.
I think he is. I've been watching him for 4 years. I mean, his dad was the quarterback coach for the Cowboys. I mean, he knows the game. He's got a
Oh God, he takes
cannon.
that. You're gonna give
Yeah,
him some credit
yeah,
because
yeah,
he
yeah,
takes
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He's got a cannon. However, if he can control it, that's been his thing. He's overthrown some balls deep. He's overthrown a few things in the past, but I mean, we're about to find out. I mean, he's had a lot of time to work on it. With Brian Kelly, I mean, I don't doubt him. So why would I doubt him? The only thing I've ever doubted was like, what the heck is he doing with Harold Perkins? But Harold Perkins, I don't think anybody could do. I mean, how do you destroy such a star player from what he was his freshman year? But I mean, I get it. Have you seen a defensive end? I think they're trying to do him a service and say, look, you're going to have to play a different position in the NFL. You're not going to be a, have you seen, the defensive end his size? No, I mean he's not as he's small. I think they're trying to develop him in a different area of the field, but as far as LSU's concerned, we need him in the corner. We need him rushing the passer. Let's put him back in there. He's a killer. But I respect them trying to develop the player and do that. But, man.
Well, as far as Mississippi State football concerned, I'm still feeling real good after the spring. Mm-hmm. And I think Levy's doing exactly what I would do if I took the bull by the horns. I talked about this. I was like, why doesn't – you can say bottom feeder, mid-pack, whatever, of the SEC. Why don't they go after the non-Power 5 transfer guys that had 1,000 yards receiving? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Those guys, they do it. They got to play Power 5 schools to make for the school program to make the money. So why not go on the Sun Belt and give me the 1,000-yard guy? I think it's genius, and we've gotten everyone that we've got one right after spring. As soon as all of ours hit in the spring, we landed another one last week. So, I mean, we're building that funnel of it may not be a star type, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to rate them a 4-star if they're a 1,000-yard receiver in D1 football.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're coming in my program.
You're
going to be a 4-star on my, you're going to be way up there. If you prove that you can do it, and I put on the tape and that on LSU homecoming, you had 120 yards receiving. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Y'all got beat 50-3, but I mean, you had 120 yards receiving, or you had 85 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. Give me that guy.
Sure.
Give me that guy.
That's what Florida did with Ricky Pearsall. He was the Arizona State receiver, and he just got drafted in the first round.
I saw that. He got drafted. He got drafted because of that that snag late.
One-handed snag. And I think he had 980-something yards last year at Florida receiving. He was like 2 catches away from having 1,000 yards receiving last year.
Yeah. And there wasn't no postseason in that either.
No, there was 0 postseason, but there will be this year.
No
I do I know everybody, and it's me saying it from the heart. I think Florida has a much improved. We got a tough schedule. Very tough schedule.
I think we should do that. And
Trevor Etienne, everybody's
created is what y'all got.
Yeah,
let's go over that in Punta
Cana. Everybody freaked out. Trevor Etienne's going to Georgia. Guess what? He's still going to be running back too.
Didn't he get arrested?
He was running back 2 in Gainesville. He might be running back 2 or 3 if he'd have stayed in Gainesville, and that's what he's going to be at Georgia. I mean, everybody thought the world was over whenever he left. He was electric, but he's not.
You ain't going to convince in today's game. You're not going to convince me that the world's over when you lose a stud
running back. No,
just not. You're not going to convince me.
Everything's running back by committee anyway.
What's his name from Ole Miss?
Judkins. Q
went to. I mean, couldn't. Now there's going to be a little fall off there. They've had he was a 2,000-yard back, and then he's a 1,200-yard rusher this past year. Yeah, there's going to be a little effects that you see, and you think, oh man, if we'd have had Q right there, he'd have got that first down. But I'm just saying, you're not going to convince me that you can't go out, pay, and find one or two other guys that can fill that role. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
My
yes,
biggest
quarterbacks
concern
are
is
a dime a
gonna
dozen.
You give me
Yeah.
receivers and D linemen right now. Is what
Yeah.
I want.
I mean, everything's running back by committee nowadays anyway, because a lot of it has to do with pass blocking. A lot of people don't ever pay attention to that. Like a running back pass blocking is one of the hardest things that you're going to be able to do. When you got an outside, you don't know who's coming. You got an outside linebacker coming in. You got a defensive end coming in. You don't know which one. Maybe they're blitzing. Maybe they're stunting. Maybe they're doing whatnot. You got to protect your quarterback on third down. I mean, that's a highly underrated thing. And a lot of these running backs, if you pay attention, some of them are ballers with the ball, but they suck at pass blocking. And when it's third
They catch
down,
the ball out of the backfield. They got to be able to catch the ball out of the
that's
backfield.
a
They got to be
new.
able to run block, pass block. They got to be able to do a lot
So
more
you,
than just be
I,
talented with football.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I think that has a lot to do with this running back by committee thing, and you don't see as many, 1,500-yard rushers, 1,200-yard rushers, and
Yeah, because
things
they're
like that
splitting it
anymore.
between two or three of them.
And then the fresh legs thing, I think Saban started all that stuff, and it was right. However, it's not as fun for me to watch. I like watching Ricky Williams get X amount of, over 1,000. I love watching that stuff. But I mean,
Leonard Fournette.
oh my God, and that was running back committee, but that was the closest thing that we've had in a long time. But I mean, I like seeing that. But
Y'all
anyway.
are Gator haters, but how do you find a better? Where do you find a better quarterback room than what Billy's got in Gainesville right now?
Where do you find a better quarterback room?
You got Mertz, who competed in the SEC last year, 73% completion percentage, didn't have any blocking, no offensive line to speak of. Then you got DJ Lagway, who's young, but he's arguably the next Vince Young, Dak Prescott, Cam Newton style. Yeah.
Who's
absolutely.
this guy?
DJ Lagway.
Next Vince Young?
He's a stud. He is a stud.
Middle of the pack right now. Middle of the pack. That's the crazy thing. But you say that, but then you look up. You got to remember, there's a quarterback room at Oklahoma. There's a quarterback room at Texas. There's
Texas. I forgot about Ewers and Manning. But
I watched
the word's still out on Manning.
I watched the whole Texas spring game. Okay, Manning shredded it, and I'm not talking about 5-yard outs and or slants for 6. I'm talking about dropping dimes 45 yards down the field. It was crazy, but it's under the understanding that Ewers is the guy. You know what I'm saying? If he gets hurt, and the Mannings are fine with that. Everybody tries to make this big thing. They're not into this. Let's hit the transfer button. You got to think. Eli sat behind Romero Miller, for a year. And I forget who it was before Peyton, but they worked out fine. They're the richest guys in football now. So everything's going to be good. But, it's just insane right now. I watch Lagway. I like Lagway. I watched him, and then your quarterback, he's kind of
just got to hit the deep ball. That's his.
Yeah,
he's real good. 20 yards in, but he wasn't real good with the deep ball. But he didn't have any time either. So maybe having him some protection will make a difference. But he was very underappreciated last year for what he did. Minimum turnovers and 73% completion.
Yeah, like if you look at his stats,
wins. Yeah,
if you look at his stats, it doesn't make any sense why you lost 7 games. You know what I'm saying? It really doesn't.
Yeah.
I say him.
It comes down to defense, just like I'm talking to Adam about. It comes down to being able to stop somebody late in the third quarter.
Well, everybody got Ron Roberts.
You can't convince me that University.
By the way, let's work on getting these guys on the show. What are we doing? We know all these guys. We know.
But listen to me. You can't convince me. You can't convince me that University of Florida doesn't have an elite 11 starters over there ready to start the season. But then you get hurt.
That's what happened to us last year. Yeah,
you start getting hurt. All of a sudden, you're shuffling. All of a sudden, you're thin as can be, and you can't stop nobody.
Fact.
So there's a big fall off there. So you got to recruit for that. Every coach feels good about their starting 11 come September, but golly,
Yeah, 3 of them go down. You lose
Yeah.
your leading tackler and you lose your leading defender, and all of a sudden you're trying to plug those spots in, and you're like,
yeah,
"Ooh."
LSU
Yeah.
last year was like nothing I had ever seen. It was the
Oh,
worst
it's
LSU
terrible.
defense
That's
in,
what happened
in
to
the
them,
history
though.
of LSU.
Yeah, that's
and we
the
had
difference.
hold on, and we had two D linemen go first round,
I
or
know.
first 4 rounds,
Yeah.
and I mean, three D linemen I think for first 4 rounds. I may be wrong. I know 2 first 4 rounds with Jefferson and Smith, but Makai Wingo, I think he went a little later. But I mean, and then we had these guys like just sitting the bench like Womack. We had Harold Perkins. I mean, what? I have no answers. I don't know. And then we picked up this 5-star Harris guy from Texas A&M. He couldn't get out of trouble. I still never knew what his deal was. He kept getting suspended from the team. And what you're talking about though is this. And then there were some injuries on defensive back. And then we didn't have any defensive backs. First time in LSU history, we're not DBU no more. What happened to that? It's like now we're wide receiver.
And that's how I feel
fine.
the difference in how we watch football and how other people watch football. They'll turn the game on, not know nothing about what's going on, and go, we gave up 50 points today. Our defense sucks. Well, you had 2 starters on defense that got in trouble that week that didn't play.
Yeah.
And you had 4 dudes injured. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, we suck. Well, yeah, we're not as deep as we should be, but we're looking into it deeper and going, hey, there's 6 starters on defense that aren't playing today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That makes a big difference. But
I mean, that's why
Billy
the
wants to watch
recruiting
the
trail
game.
is so much more. I mean, it is just as important almost as anything, or more important than anything. You don't have the talent, you can't win. It doesn't matter what you are. I mean, you can coach 7-year-old baseball like I'm helping do now. If you ain't got the talent, it ain't gonna matter. It don't matter. It's the same thing. You got to have these guys, and they got to be coachable. And I mean, we recruit for businesses, right? We know how hard it is just to find, decent people for our positions. Can you imagine trying to fill in a roster of every depth position? I know, like, where you getting paid all this money? Just pump the brakes, Cat. These guys are in so much scrutiny. It's unbelievable. They're working harder than we've ever even thought about doing in some cases. And, it's so easy for, the armchair quarterback or whatever to say we should have done that, we should have done this. And we're we do that. We are opinionated. But knowing football coaches and knowing what they're dealing with. I mean, dude, it's a lot. I mean, you're running a business. Brian Kelly is running a business.
Well, like you related it, you got to hire somebody to come into y'all's office today. You got to hire somebody.
Not mention staff.
They got to be on time, and then they have to have a good attitude. They have to be coachable. Have to have a little bit of talent in order to be able to do what you need them to do. That it's hard. It's hard to find somebody that's got all that.
You can have all the. That's right. I mean. And then
you
don't know what kind of heart they got. Oh, yeah, but then you got to hire the staff because you have to have the right staff to find them, because Brian Kelly can't go recruit every single player. He can't. And you got to have the coaches that are out there recruiting, and then they got to have assistants, and they got to be following up, and they got to have processes in place, and it's a lot. I think that
Brian
we can't
Kelly,
even just fathom.
I think Brian Kelly is elite in that category.
Yeah.
Finding good help.
He's probably one of the best. Has he
filtering through it? It may not be as popular to the ESPN top 300. You know what I'm saying? But he's been doing it so long, and he's won how many games?
Yeah,
a bunch.
250, 300.
No NCs, right? No national championships, right? I know he's in it a few times with Notre Dame.
Nice.
He's probably he might be the best coach out there without a national championship.
Yeah, but he didn't win a natty because he was at Notre Dame.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. I mean,
talk about recruiting. We're talking about recruiting hinderment. I mean, my God.
He recruited, they had to have a certain grade point average for him to even get on his list. You see what I'm saying? That's smart.
Insane.
It wasn't like get into LSU. No, there was. It's not as bad as it used to be, but there's
he can throw a football? Come on in. Yeah, we'll take him. Come on.
Yeah.
That's like Vandy's baseball team. Vandy always has a good baseball team, but don't you have to have some stupid GPA?
Yeah, but they had some kind of, before the NIL, they had like an advantage actually because they had more scholarships than everybody else.
I see. But they still had to have a crazy
Vandy's
GPA.
Been paying full scholarships to baseball players. So all those natties they won, and they're good, don't get me wrong, and they're still good now.
But that's why that was a big advantage.
They got swept.
They've been doing that. So they've been recruiting the same guy as us. We take a picture from Mississippi who is Dandy Dozen and ranked way up there. Mississippi State offers them 40%. Vanderbilt would come in with their private university and say, "Hey, come here and get a Vanderbilt degree." You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're talking
anything.
you're talking to a 20-year-old kid.
That's it.
You know,
You're trying to sell a 20-year-old kid, hey, you can experience Starkville nightlife, or you can experience Nashville nightlife.
with a Vanderbilt.
That's what I was talking about. The Michigan D
Come
lineman.
on.
Like, I
Yeah.
forgot. I wanted to talk like the Michigan D lineman who went to Miami. Like, you think that fella don't want to be the superstar at South Beach in Miami? Oh Lord, man, he's about. No, I mean the land. You can pretty up Baton Rouge all you want to. It ain't South Beach, and I mean.
And the nightlife in Baton Rouge is not the nightlife in Miami.
However, have you seen the Boosie thing at Fred's? Yeah, the nightlife's pretty legit in Baton Rouge.
Not
So
like
just don't
Miami. I don't care if you got
get a little
Trey
Boosie and
Cantos
Fred's.
to
It don't get a whole much better than that. Have you seen that?
Yeah,
I don't want to be.
That happens in Miami every night.
Nah, but it ain't Boosie.
Oh, come on.
It ain't Boosie. Yeah, it ain't it. Anyway, guys, we probably got to wrap it up here short today. Anything y'all want to touch base on before we got Punta Cana coming up next episode. We're going to be in Punta Cana. I say let's go over a little bit of the let's go over some of these football schedules while we're in Punta Cana. Talk about the Turkey Tour. We're going to have a big crew in Punta Cana, so hopefully I'm going to get my boy Stout on LSU football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of, Adam, you know
we
how
went to Delta State with that fella, by the way. We're not going to say his name.
That's
yeah.
That, I knew that name.
Yep.
Did he not?
He also works for the same place we do.
But then the does he have a?
He played baseball. He played baseball. I think.
He pitch?
I don't remember him and
I knew the name.
him and Stout grew up together. Yeah, him and Stout grew up together.
Stout beat Adam so bad on our last trip last year in ping pong that Adam got
he beat
so
about
mad,
one.
He lost his flip flop.
First off, I had about 15 specials.
He lost his flip flops. Yeah.
Nah, all right, we're gonna rematch that. First off, I had 15 specials that day, and it was one. It wasn't. I think we had to go into overtime.
Yeah, but the way he let you,
it was two. You got to win by two.
He let you go up like 6-0, and then he
let me go up 6-0. He let me. No.
Is that when
Stout's only beat me at one thing ever?
LSU fan?
Stout's only beat me at one thing. What'd you just say?
That is whenever you decided you're going to be a LSU Tiger, wasn't it?
What?
That's what Chaz is trying to say right now.
What are you saying, Chaz?
You didn't become a LSU fan until you and Stout started running together.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what? How long we known each other? Where is this? What is it? What? How long we known each other? You questioning my fanhood right now?
Yeah.
How long we known each other?
If you're going to flip flop, you ought to flip the Ole Miss this year.
Huh?
Too long.
Yeah. No, I was born in Baton Rouge. I've lived in Louisiana. I've been going there all my life. Don't question my fanhood.
You grew up in South Mississippi.
No,
Woodville.
I did not.
Woodville.
I went to school in South Mississippi, but I did. I grew up there too. I mean, I'm not gonna say I didn't. It's kind of like I was on the line, but I mean, still, nonetheless, it's 30 minutes from the stadium. But born in Baton Rouge, lived in Louisiana, went to school in Mississippi. My family are Mississippi people, so that's why I don't hate too much on. However, I still Ole Miss. I'm just not.
I think Ole Miss is going. We're all going to hate them by the time the season's over.
I don't know. Now we got Pete Golden over there though, and it's hard for me to hate him. I'm pulling for Pete.
I can't wait. I'm watching these spring games when I get a chance. I watch Texas and LSU and Florida and State.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I get on there. I'm like, oh, okay, got Ole Miss spring game on demand. Click it on there. They're having a freaking field day and a hot dog eating contest.
They're having a field day. They're having a fifth grade field day.
Like,
that's Lane Kiffin.
That is, which is cool. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating, but you can be a leader in those things. But I tell you what, you put that, they're ranked. They're expected to make the playoff this year.
That's it might be a good.
Short of that.
Yeah, don't think that didn't get brought up.
About the hot dog eating contest in the spring game.
That does seem a little more fun, I mean, the kids.
It's a good time, but you got to win when you do that,
Yeah.
I like Kiffin, but
this is the year with the expectations right here. They are freaking loaded all the way around. Defense too, and Ole Miss.
And they got the right coaches.
He lost all credibility with me though. Whenever he was playing Saban, he said, "Get your popcorn ready," and they got beat by 50.
Yeah,
he's just a
That
showman.
was like-
He's a showman.
He also countered that. He also countered that by having free popcorn at the stadium for the next.
Yeah, he did a good job.
He
did
is a
good job of
marketer,
spinning it.
dude.
Get there
He's
10
funny.
minutes
He's fine.
early, and you get free popcorn at the stadium. Everybody.
I love it. I love it.
He's good.
I love it.
He
But
ran
look,
out with Morgan Wallen at the concert.
that was cool. Yeah, he had his hoodie on. Yeah, that was cool. I was there. That was fun. Look, dude, I do got to wrap this up, guys, but it's been good. We're going to get it next week in Punta Cana. We'll have a lot to talk about. Eventually, we're going to have Chaz's brother. What's his title with the NIL? He's head of NIL at Arkansas State here in the next few weeks. We're going to have him in to talk a little bit about.
I think if it hadn't changed, there's 4 of them. So you can say the board on the NIL board.
He's on the NIL board. I don't know his title, but yeah, he's on the
You
NIL
can sit
board.
with him for 30 minutes and figure out, are they 1099? Are they W2?
Yeah. A lot of questions being asked.
they
Also,
dead?
my iPad's about to go dead.
How
Is
much
he back from the Kentucky Derby yet, though?
I doubt.
Where's he going next?
No, he's living large. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, it's been real. Until next week, that's it for the Spurs and Spreads podcast. See you next week.